Kevin O'Leary recently put a CNN host in her place, which got the other hosts laughing.
Abby, you have to distance yourself from Trump derangement syndrome. It's irrelevant to policy. It doesn't matter.
From exposing Joe Biden's cognitive decline cover-up to calling Kamala a sore loser.
She got slaughtered because they disavowed the process. They anointed her and she got slaughtered.
And when they brought up the plane deal issue, Kevin reminded everyone what actually matters: results. Just brutal facts that left the liberal panel speechless. Let's jump right into it.
This poor man was broken. And look what happened to the country, and look at how he's being beaten up. It's almost immoral what we're doing to him now, to sell books. I was there at the White House dinner watching this. The same reporters who didn't report on him are profiting from his decline.
Which dinner?
It's outrageous what they're doing.
Which dinner, by the way?
White House Correspondents' Dinner.
What? Oh, you're talking about
I was
just a few weeks ago.
Actually,
I
think we have an agreement. Like, I think that every 90 days, Ronnie Jackson should not be the doctor for Donald Trump. Have an independent neurologist come in
100%.
and let's have it.
100%. There we go. That solves the
that's
problem.
the way to start a show.
I guess in a world in which you have, the Dr. Ronnies of the world who will say that the president hung the moon. I'm not even so sure that that's really going to cut it.
Lying.
I think this is a fundamentally political problem. Chuck Schumer, according to an excerpt of the book, this is what it says. Schumer wasn't concerned about Biden's acuity, but he was worried about the optics. Another wedding guest who sat at Schumer's table, this was at a wedding, recalled him saying, "If things go south at the debate, me, Barack, Nancy, and Hakeem have a plan B." Schumer would later deny it.
Look, I don't think he said anything outrageous. He merely pointed to something that we all saw with Biden's cognitive decline towards the end of his presidential service. The signs weren't subtle: slurred speeches, blank stares, the constant cleanup crew from the White House press room, and recently, he was diagnosed with a very aggressive prostate cancer, which I'm not happy to hear. And I do hope he gets better, but I'm not an expert here. Based on what I've read so far, for a cancer at that stage, it shows that it has been there all along, but a few months back, he was cleared to be fit for duty by his physicians. I do pray that he fully recovers from this, but the real problem is that they gaslit the entire nation into pretending this wasn't happening. But now the same people who dismissed all the warning signs, who insisted everything was fine, are acting like they were in on it the whole time. They're trying to rewrite their roles from enablers to truth tellers, and let's just call it what it is: a media and political cover-up that's now being flipped to business opportunity. You don't sit on something that serious and then pretend like you're being responsible after the fact becomes public knowledge. Kevin's point landed because it wasn't personal. He didn't attack Biden, but exposed the system that used him, protected the illusion, and is now trying to sell the collapse as content.
You're not finishing this properly. I was here.
I'm not finishing my thought properly.
Now we're going to talk about it. They did not run a process. They picked a loser, and she lost, and she got slaughtered because they didn't run a process.
Hold on.
Anybody could do it.
First of all, like, let's just make sure that we maintain some respect for Kamala Harris.
The former vice president of the United States.
Referring to her as a loser.
She was never elected in a process.
I think referring to her as a loser is disrespectful.
She should have run against other contenders.
And I think that we need to make sure that we have a little bit of
that goes back to the. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
After Biden dropped out, I mean, he did basically disappear. He did show up at the convention, but from the point at which he dropped out of the campaign, he basically disappeared. And then after the election day, between that and the inaugural, he really disappeared. And I just think there are legitimate questions about at that point. If he was not fit to run for office, I argued at the time he was not fit to serve in the office at the time, yet he was not in the public eye. Decisions were being made, monumental policy decisions were being made, and I still want to know who was making them. Was the president
You deserve those answers.
Every American deserves a straight answer to the final question. If the president was checked out, as many are now casually admitting, then who made all the executive decisions for the country? That's the core of the entire crisis. While Biden was missing from the spotlight, the government didn't hit pause. Policies still rolled out, strategic decisions made, and executive orders being signed. And if the man elected to those calls wasn't mentally or physically present, then who was? This isn't about Joe Biden's health anymore. It reveals the lack of accountability from the Democrats, because if unelected staffers, advisors, or handlers called the shots behind the curtain while we all thought it was the president, they played on our intelligence. Kevin didn't have to yell to make his point. He held the mirror up, and what it showed wasn't a healthy process. It was a party more interested in managing perception than letting people decide on their vote.
Lastly, there's nothing about Kamala Harris that's a loser. Let's just put it.
It's like,
Oh, I think there is. She lost big time.
You got to.
She lost an election.
The biggest.
All right, listen, we are not going to, hold on.
I'm not being
Hold on a
disrespectful.
second.
I'm talking
Yes, you
fact.
absolutely
She
are.
got slaughtered because they disavowed the process.
Hold on.
They
Kevin.
anointed her and she got slaughtered.
I just want to-
That's
let
what
me-
happened.
what's the
We don't have to
process?
bake
Hold on a
facts.
second.
We do not have to bake facts.
Hold on a
Rules are
second,
the
Kevin.
facts, too.
Kevin,
But you like to
just
think
one
she was
point of
horrific.
clarification. She was elected in the
I just
2020
told him that.
election
She
was
along
not
with
elected
Joe
as president of the
Biden.
United States
She was elected vice president.
She was anointed
She
into
was
that
elected
position.
in 2020 on the same ticket as Joe Biden. So there's that.
It's hard
We
to
got to
tell
leave
the
it there for
truth.
this
She couldn't
conversation.
put
But
two
coming up
sentences
next,
together.
come on, Kevin.
It's true.
It is funny how liberals are easily tense when they hear the truth. Kevin didn't go off script. He just refused to act like everyone forgot what happened. Kamala Harris didn't win a primary when the sitting candidate stepped aside. She was anointed, not elected. Now, quick digression. If you have the time, please like and subscribe. It means the world to us. The party cleared the field. Joe endorsed her and the rest folded. It was a coordinated handoff without challenge or debate, and someone needed to say it. Yeah, she was elected as the vice president in 2020, but not based on credibility, but on Biden's rules of needing a woman of color. She even had to drop out of the primaries back then, and the moment someone points that out, the media flinches. Truth is that when you treat uncomfortable truths as personal attacks, it quickly erodes trust, and the reaction of Abby and the other liberals on the show reveals why people have lost faith in the Democrats. So is this Qatari jet a red flag or another anti-Trump narrative? Kevin's take brought some common sense to this matter.
The president of the United States, who takes a $400 million plane from them, literally is refurbishing it to be Air Force
Who cares about the plane? What does that have to do with the
You got it.
fact?
Because it's
You got it.
Wait a
disgusting.
second.
Because it's
You know what?
If you
Can I
don't
ask you a
care
question?
I don't get it.
about taking-
Why focus on something that is irrelevant to the policy
It's
of
not
the region?
irrelevant.
It's completely irrelevant.
How is it irrelevant?
Would you rather have the Chinese there?
So
Would
they-
you rather have them there?
Kevin, the United States Constitution
irrelevant.
would like to have a word.
it's
The
all
United
right.
States Constitution would like to have a word. That's why people care,
Yeah,
right?
people care because
the
of the
reason that
Constitution.
that's in the Constitution is to prevent the president of the United States from accepting things
What's
that
the
are
goal
being
of the trip?
that are being perceived
What's the
as
goal-
as bribes.
What is the national
The
interest
goal of the
this
trip is not to get a giant gift that he can say belongs to him as president, but then he takes with him when he leaves the office.
Abby, you have
That's
to
not-
distance yourself from Trump derangement syndrome. It's irrelevant to policy. It doesn't matter.
Okay,
What matters
Kevin,
is, why are all these AI guys
Have
on this
you
trip?
heard of the emoluments
Scott's
clause?
the only one he
Wait.
doesn't
Why do you have
you
all
heard,
the leaders
Kevin, no,
of-
seriously, it's a serious question.
different
Have
about
you
that?
heard of the emoluments clause? Do you understand that that is in the Constitution?
He doesn't.
That line from Kevin was hilarious. Even Scott couldn't hold back a grin. It must have felt like a sweet moment of validation. The media is so focused on every word just to criticize it. It's a Trump derangement syndrome, as he called it. In a recent interview with CNN, Senator Mullen revealed that discussions about the Qatar plane didn't begin with Trump, and negotiations for the presidential jet replacement allegedly started under Biden's administration. But I do feel that the outrage over a plane feels more like selective concern than a genuine constitutional crisis. Speaking on the emoluments clause, where was the same righteous energy when the Biden family's overseas dealings made headlines? The sudden legal purity feels selective and convenient. If a president's delivering on policy, securing borders, stabilizing economy, keeping us out of war, the average voter isn't losing sleep over the gifts narrative that the media is trying to spin. What we care about is the growth of the country. This constant hunt for scandals misses what people actually care about: results. And that's all for today's breakdown. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.